and welcome to my video. My name is Riley. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the projects I completed in 2024 and a few of the things I'm working on currently, some of the projects that have carried over into 2025. I did a lot of the same pattern last year, and so I just felt like it was kind of boring to talk about the exact same thing over and over and over again. So I'm just kind of starting off this new year, catching up on all of the kind of smaller things I did alongside it and everything I'm working on now that that big project is over. So I hope you enjoy. So the first thing I'll be talking about is the folklore cardigan. So this is the first one that I made in 2023, just right at the end. And this is the one I made for myself. So since it was the first one I made, the pattern didn't actually include like how to make the buttonholes. So mine, like the buttons aren't really actually functional, which is fine. I think I might go back and figure out how to make them functional. But after I made this first one and kind of realized that problem, the other three that I made for my sisters and my sister-in-law, they have functional buttonholes so they can actually like use it as a normal cardigan. But this, I just followed a tutorial on YouTube, and it's just like 2.5-hour long videos, and it takes you through every step, and it was super easy to understand. And it looks very similar to the like official folklore cardigan. These stars I just got off of Amazon, I believe. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good copy of the original folklore cardigan. It's super cozy, and it's all made with acrylic yarn, which isn't my favorite. I don't plan to make any other garments out of acrylic yarn, but it was really good for a first ever like garment project. It's also crochet, which I don't do as much. I do prefer knitting, but I don't think I could have knit 4 folklore cardigans in the time it took me to crochet 4 of them. My 2 sisters and I went to see her 6th show in Toronto just in November of 2024. And when we bought our tickets back in August 2023, I decided I wanted to make us all cardigans to wear to the concert. And at that point, I didn't really know how to knit, and especially not something like a garment. But for some reason, I just felt I could crochet it, even though I didn't really have a ton of crochet experience either. But I found the tutorial, and it was really easy to follow, and it just kind of made me think I could do it. And I think there's just, something kind of easy about redoing something so many times that it actually does become kind of easy, and you kind of just memorize it. But I'm really happy with how they all turned out. I really like the amount of detail in it, and my sisters and I wore them to the concert, and that was really fun to kind of see them out and about. And then I made one for my sister-in-law as well, since she also is a big fan of Taylor Swift. But yeah, so those are the folklore cardigans. That's the main thing I worked on in 2024, was just constantly making the next cardigan for someone. I made them each as like a birthday gift, and so thankfully their birthdays are a little bit spread out throughout the year. But I was really happy to complete all of them because it was a lot of work, and it was just kind of at a point where I was just tired of them and I wanted to work on something new. So I did space it out a little bit. I would take breaks and not work on them for a little bit after I finished one. And so I have more things that I finished last year kind of in between. But this was the main thing that I did in 2024, and I'm really happy with how they all turned out. And the second thing, second kind of big thing that I made in 2024 was my stick season sweater. And I love this sweater so much. It's my second knit sweater. I talked about my first one in a video last year, which was the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. And that was a great first project. It's very beginner friendly. And this one, I watched the Creabea's like podcasts on YouTube, and I just loved this sweater. And it just looked very cozy, and I liked the texture, and I just felt like it was something I could do, but that was like a good step up, because it wasn't just stockinette. I really love the shoulder detail in the back. I just think it looks so nice. And I'm also really happy with the color that I chose. I think this just kind of suits the pattern really well. And my mom, when I sent her a picture of this, liked it so much that she immediately asked if I could make her one. So I'll talk about that later. I have yarn already to make her one. But for this, I ended up using an Aran weight yarn. I think it calls for DK. And that was just honestly a mistake. When I went to buy the yarn, I didn't fully understand yarn weights and everything, and I just found a yarn I liked. So all I did to kind of compensate for that was I just went up a couple needle sizes. I think it calls for like a 4 and 5, and I used a 6 and 7. But overall, I think it worked out really well still, like using a thicker, heavier yarn. It doesn't feel like too stiff or anything. It fits well. I think fits how it's supposed to. So I actually ended up picking the exact same yarn brand for my mom's sweater, just in a different color. But it is Haynes Creek Heathers. It's I believe it's a Canadian brand. I think it's the Gathering yarn. And I just found them at my local yarn store, the Fiber Nook, which is typically where I go to get all my yarn now. I just love it. It's such a cute store, and it has so many options, and so there's always good yarn to find. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this sweater turned out. I wear it probably the most. I mean, I only have like 2 knitted garments at this point, so we'll see what happens when I get more and more, but I just really love the color. I love the fit. Yeah, it's a great pattern. I would definitely recommend it. It took me a minute to kind of get the pattern down, like the actual texture, but once I got it, and kind of was able to learn how to read the pattern and like read my knitting, it became a lot easier. And yeah, I restarted a few times and then finally got it going, and then it went by so much faster. But yeah, this is my stick season sweater. So I decided that I wanted to make a pair of socks, and I didn't have small enough socks to make a lot of the patterns that I was finding where they all called for fingering weight. My like interchangeable needle set, just I think it only goes down to a 3, and a lot of them are calling for like a 1 or 2. And so I chose to do the Sunday socks by Petite because they used a needle size that I had, and so I just thought that would be a good introduction to socks. And so this is what they look like. They have pilled a little bit, but I think that's normal. I did use like a proper sock yarn for it. It was one that I ordered from Wool Warehouse. It was the, I have it in my notebook, I think it's Coop knit. I kept the label here. And it was in the color Quartz. I basically copied like the one she had in the picture. I just wanted a very simple color, so that, you know, the focus was just on the actual texture. And yeah, I'm really happy with them. They fit well into like my boots. And I think they look really cute over like my Blundstones, where you can just see like the top. They are really long, but I feel like it's nice because you can kind of scrunch them down, and kind of wear them however you like to. But it was a really easy pattern to follow. They went by so much faster than I thought they would. I feel like I hear a lot about like, you know, some people just, it takes forever to finish socks, especially to do the second sock. But I think I was just so excited to have my first pair of socks that I didn't really have that issue. So we'll see what happens with future socks that I knit. But I was really happy with how these turned out, and they're really comfortable. Yeah, there's not too much to say about them. I think a lot of people have made these. I think this might be my only petite knit pattern so far, but I really liked it. I can see why a lot of people really love her patterns. It was just very easy to understand. But yeah, these are my Sunday socks. So I don't have the finished object with me for this, but I do have another skein of the yarn I used. So for Christmas, I made my father-in-law a pair of like fingerless gloves, but that had like the mitten top that could kind of be removed, and it also had a little cap on the thumb that could do the same thing, because he wanted a pair of mittens that he could use for walking the dog. And so because, you know, I figured if he's wearing them outside on dog walks, they might get dirty sometimes, I chose a yarn that was, you know, safe to go in the washing machine, still not like dryer safe, but it's acrylic and wool and nylon, and so it's a little more, I guess it's a little less delicate than like pure wool, but still has the wool to keep it nice and warm. Yeah, I was really happy with how they turned out. I thought I was going to need a second skein, but I was able to finish them both with the first skein, so I might make my husband a pair of those gloves with this yarn because it's super soft, and he was we were measuring the mittens on his hands while I was making them, because my in-laws and my parents both live in Ontario, whereas we live in Alberta, so just to make sure they kind of fit before he got here for Christmas. And yeah, I used a free pattern that we found online, and yeah, it was really easy to follow. I will say, like, picking up each of the individual fingers felt a little tedious sometimes, and for some reason it was so much easier on the first one than the second. I was just struggling so much with the second glove. But you don't knit them to be super long, and so it kind of went by fast enough, but I just felt like picking up stitches so many times on such small sections just felt so tedious and annoying. I don't think that picking up stitches is my favorite part of knitting at all. I actually have a sweater that I'll talk about in a minute that I haven't worked on in like 2 weeks because I just haven't wanted to pick up the stitches for the sleeves and the collar because it's just so big and it's going to be so many stitches. So I have to find a way to learn to enjoy that more because so many patterns require you to pick up stitches through the project. But they did fit when I gave them to him for Christmas, and he wore them like the whole time that he was here for their trip, and so I think they're very functional. Yeah, it was a great pattern, and I'm hoping that they last for years and years. But this was the yarn I used. It was just one that I found in the Fiber Nook as well, and yeah, super soft. I've heard of this brand before, so I've been enjoying kind of trying out as many different brands of yarn that I can, just to kind of find which ones I like the best, but I would definitely use this one again. Yeah. So I think this is my most recently finished object. I finished it just after, I think maybe just right before the new year. We went to Banff for a ski trip, and I took this. I was trying to have it done for my husband before we made it to Banff so he could wear it on our trip, but I ended up just working on it through the trip instead. I finished the fingerless gloves like Christmas Eve as we were going to bed. So I ended up being a little bit behind on both these things, but he knew it might not be done in time, and that was fine. And it ended up being okay because this one fits me a little bit better. I did measure like around both of our heads, and it seemed like this one should fit him, but it fits me a little bit better. It's a little too snug on him, and so the plan had been to make both of us these hats anyways. So I'm making his now, and I'm just making it one size larger. But this is the Musselburgh hat by Isolde T, and it's just one that I'd heard so many people talk about, and I just thought the construction was so interesting that it's just like a long tube that you just fold it on itself, and then you fold the brim. And my husband thought that was so cool and that it would be so cozy and warm, and it is. I wore it when I was coming home from school the other day, and it had been like pretty mild, and then all of a sudden it was just so windy and so snowy, and my head was not cold at all. My face was freezing, but this did a really good job. It's a sock yarn, actually. I think I might not have the label on me, but it was one that I picked up, again, at the Fiber Nook. I think pretty much all of my yarn is from there at this point, aside from a few that I had originally ordered from like Wool Warehouse. But it's a sock yarn. I got 3, I think. Yeah, I got 3, and this used just under 1. And so we're thinking the next size, which I've just got started right here. Like just barely started. I just finished the increases. So we've still got a long way to go. Oh, here. So this is the yarn. So it's 75% wool and 25% polyamide. But we actually decided to go with this color, which isn't a typical color for either of us. But we went and saw 21 Pilots in September, which was like pretty much for my birthday. It was almost exactly on my birthday, which was really cool. They're like my favorite band, and this is just kind of like the classic color of like the beanies that they wear in like the Stressed Out music video and things like that. And so I just thought it would be fun if we had like matching kind of 21 Pilots hats, because we both loved their music. We loved the concert. I'd seen them before when I was in like grade 10, and so it was really awesome to see them again, and they're still amazing. Just a side note, as a music recommendation, highly recommend 21 Pilots. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this hat has turned out. I think the second one I'm hoping will go by a little bit faster, because it's really just a ton of stock in it. So I think I'll bring it with me to school and everything, like, because you just don't have to look at it too much while you're making it now that the increases are done. But yeah, this is my hat. My husband's will look pretty much identical, and then I got a third skein so that maybe I'll make socks out of it, or it'll just be kind of nice to have around to go in other projects. We'll see. I'm not too sure, but I just thought I'd keep an extra one around. And I also wasn't too sure, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't know if one would be enough per hat. So I kind of wanted to have a third around just in case. But I think I have a little bit left over from this one. I have a whole new skein that I'm using for his hat, and then I have the third one. So I might have to use it, but I might be good with just what I have left over from this and then the other one. And then I've got a whole other skein to make whatever I want out of. But yeah, it's a great pattern, and I'm really happy with it. So the sweater that I mentioned previously that I've kind of just been procrastinating with is this one here that my needle is stabbing straight through. Okay. So it's a very oversized sweater, but it is the Petite pullover. It was a free pattern that I found on Instagram, and it's basically just one size, and you can kind of adjust it if you know how to change things for your size. But based on like her measurements, I figured that just following her pattern would get me a good oversized sweater. So I really enjoyed it. This is kind of like my intro to color work. And I used the pink here is leftover from my step-by-step sweater, because I ordered way too much and thought this would be a good way to kind of use some more of it up, because I really love the color. And then in the same yarn, I ordered yellow to go along with when I ordered the kind of the main color here. It's all Drops yarn. So these two are Drops Nepal, and this is Drops, I think, Soft Tweed. And I just wanted, I don't know, pink and yellow are just colors that I really love, and I thought the beige would kind of fit in well with it. It's a very like soft tweed, like it really is very faint. This is what the back looks like. And I was a little concerned that I was gonna run out of the main color because the sleeves and the collar are also supposed to be done. I mean, the sleeves will get the stripes as well, but I only have 2 balls left. And so I'm a little concerned, but I think what I'm gonna do is pick up the sleeves and just try and hope, you know, that that's enough, that like 1 per sleeve is enough. And then I might do the collar in the pink. And then I've got down here the bottom of, the bottom of the hem. I kind of just transitioned it into the yellow. I thought it would be kind of a nice little touch, and it also just saved some yarn because I'd rather, you know, use up more of the color if I'm gonna run out of the main color anyways. I'd rather use up some of the contrast color, and so I think I'll probably do the yellow on the bottom of the sleeves, on the bottom of the cuffs there, and then depending on how much of the main color I have left over, I'll either be able to do part of the collar in it, or I'll just fully do like a pink collar, and I honestly think that'll look nice. I just wanted something super cozy. It kind of makes me think of Easter, so my goal is definitely to have it done by then, but I think once I actually, you know, get over my procrastination of picking up the sleeves, it'll go a lot faster. I just have not had any desire to actually take the time to do that, because you pick up just like so many stitches. I know some patterns I've heard some people talk about, it's like way more, but I think it's like 80. And I don't know, I've just had other things that I'm working on, and once I finished the hem, I just did not feel ready to move on to the next step. So hopefully by the next time I do like a progress update, I've got a sleeve done, or like mostly done. But so far I'm really happy with it. I really like the way it fits. It's just super baggy and oversized, and I just wanted something a little more comfy and kind of casual, because the 2 knit sweaters I have so far are definitely more fitted. And yeah, I really like the Drops yarn. The Drops Nepal is definitely a little thicker than the Drops tweed, but I don't think it'll be a huge issue when I go to block it out. I think you can kind of see, if I hold it up, it comes in a little bit around each of like the stripes, but I don't think it's too bad, and I think once I block it, like, it should be totally fine. I don't remember the like pink color really coming out too much when I blocked like my all pink sweater, so I don't think I should have any issues with that, like any bleeding into the main color. But yeah, I am excited to have this done, so hopefully I just kind of get working on that soon. So another thing that I'm currently working on are these mittens. So this first one, all I have to do is the thumb, but again, it's picking up stitches, and so I just kind of did like the Kitchener stitch at the top here and just put them down. That was only a couple days ago though. I haven't been putting this off as long, but I'm really happy with how they look. It's just like a slip stitch pattern, which I hadn't done before, but it was easier than I thought. Just super repetitive. It was a free pattern as well. I can't remember, it might have been on Ravelry, but I've just had it saved into my notes app for a while. But yeah, I mean, they're super cozy. I've been using, this yarn is actually from a local yarn vendor from the farmer's market, and I was just so excited to see yarn at the farmer's market because there's only one booth that has it. Most of the farmer's market is just food, and so I had seen them, and then they disappeared for a little bit, and then I saw them again this winter, and it turns out they only really have their booth during the winter because they sell yarn, and then they also sell things like hats and mittens and scarves and like more wintry accessories, and so it makes sense. But I was really excited to see them again. They're like a local alpaca farm just like half an hour away from where I live, and so the one that I got here is just undyed. They did have like color options, but I just really liked this like cream white kind of color, and I just thought it's so cool that the alpaca that they got this from lives like half an hour away. And yeah, they're so warm, which is great. But I just feel like once they're done, like they'll just be very elegant, nice gloves to have. So I'm really happy with them. Yeah, I've been very excited to finish these. I kind of wanted to have them done, you know, sooner than the new year, so I could actually wear them through the winter, but it does stay cold for a while here, so I think I'll still get some wear if I hurry up and finish them in the next month or so. Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about with these is honestly the yarn. I think I probably could have picked like any mitten pattern, but I just think the fact that it's like the local yarn vendor just makes these feel really special. But I think they'll look a little less silly once I have the thumb here too, because right now I just feel like this looks so long. But I measured it against my hand. I had to add a few extra rows of the pattern before I did the decreases, because I just felt like unless I really aggressively blocked it after, there was no way that this was going to fit over my fingers. And even now, like if I put my hand in it, it is quite tight like this way. So I think I need to like block it out quite a bit once they're done, just to make it a little more comfortable, because it kind of feels like my fingers are just like held together. But according to like the sizes, they have 3 sizes in the pattern. So I'm making the small, and according to the circumference, like it should fit around my palm. So I don't know if I've just knit them like really, really tight by accident, or if they're meant to be blocked out pretty hard, but we'll see. They do fit, so hopefully I can just make them a little more comfortable afterwards. So this one here is one of the things I'm most excited about, and these are my petal drop socks. It's another pattern by Florence Miller, and I'm really loving the pattern. You can kind of see the detail there. This is, well, it's not exactly free, but it's she has it set so you can pay what you want to. So you can get it for free, you can pay full price, or you can pay 50%. And it's on Ravelry. And she also has a tutorial video on YouTube that like shows you how to do the whole thing. So she's really good at doing beginner-friendly things. I wanted to learn how to use DPNs, and I'm really glad I did. I think that these, I don't know, I just feel like it's magic when I'm working on them, because it just looks so complicated, but it really is like just one stitch at a time, and it all works up, and I don't know. It's complicated, but not as insane as I thought it was going to be. But the yarn that I'm using for it is also really, really exciting. It is the Noro, I think it's Silk Garden Solo, or Sock Solo, but it's just like, the colors in it are so gorgeous, and as I'm working on it and the yarn is coming up, like, you just get all these different colors that show up. I love like the bright blue that's in it. And when you put it all together, like it's still mainly purple, but you do get just those little flecks of color all over that I think are so pretty and so fun. And like, I just love looking at them. So I'm really excited, you know, to actually be able to wear them, but I am not going too fast. Because these are the bamboo DPNs, I get a little worried about ever like really taking them out of the house too much. I already have one that's bent a little bit, and I just got these for Christmas, so I'm a little sad about that. But this is also the smallest size, and I think I have a tendency to just knit too tight. So I probably just pulled a little too hard, but yeah, these are what I work on the most, I think, when I'm just sitting at home watching something, because I think I've made it through the chart 3 times now. I think you do it 6 times before you start the heel, and so I just kind of sit down and I'll do like half a chart or however many rows at a time, and then kind of move on, because I will say that one thing I've been having a hard time with it is sometimes the yarn feels like it's almost like unspun. I don't know if there's any section that's super like that here. Kind of here a little bit, where it's just, I don't know if that'll show up very well, but it's a little like looser almost, and somehow it always lines up with the lace rows where you are like knit 2 together, yarn over, or like yarn over, slip stitch, or not slip stitch, but like the slip slip knit. And I have just had to be very careful every time I do those to not push too hard on the needles, because I'm too scared that I'm going to like snap one. And yeah, it always lines up that anytime it gets to that, it's always the more like fuzzy kind of unspun yarn. And so yeah, I've just had a little bit of a hard time with that, so I am letting myself go like a little bit slower so that I continue to enjoy it and it doesn't get to be like too much. But after you do each, like you do get rows of just like kind of normal knitting, and so I think if it was just like constant lace, it would get a little bit frustrating, just with this yarn specifically, and that was, you know, I chose this yarn, but I think that in the end I will really enjoy the finished product and it's definitely going to be worth it. But I also picked these over metal ones just because I prefer working with wooden needles. I do have a set of metal needles that I use for the muscle bra hat, and I do like them, and I understand why people like them because they are so much more like slick and fast, but I feel like I don't care too much about speed when I'm knitting, and sometimes I find it to be too slippery. So I like that with wooden needles. I feel like I'm just in control a little bit more and they're a little grippier. But the only downside with these is just that because these are so thin, I do worry that they're a little bit delicate. But overall, I'm really happy with how these are turning out, and I'm mostly like, aside from when it catches and all of that, I'm really enjoying knitting these. So it's a really great pattern. I think I'll probably make it again in just like a solid color yarn, maybe the red yarn that I have, just so that you can really see the pattern a little bit better. But I just felt like with a yarn this fun and colorful, I didn't want to just do like a plain sock. I wanted something that like was also visually interesting to go along with all the color in it. So yeah, these are my socks so far. Hopefully I'll have them done pretty soon. And I don't know, I'm debating if I need to get a pair of shoes that can really show off like nice hand knit socks, because I would really love to get into like the really cool color work socks. But this is what I have for now. And the last thing that's currently in progress, but like not really because I haven't worked on it in ages, is my Lauder vest. If I can actually get it out here. Here we go. So I have done not even 10 rows on this. So it's even on like a cable that, you know, I just needed to use the one that was actually in it. So you can kind of see, this is my first cable project, and I think I was a little too ambitious with my yarn choice. But basically what happened was I picked up this yarn, which is Istex Letlopi yarn, which is like pure Icelandic wool. It's kind of scratchy, but it was the right yarn weight for the Sunday socks. And I didn't know when I was originally buying it the benefits of using like a real sock yarn when making socks. I just thought that I needed something that was like the right weight. And so I had actually started making the Sunday socks, but they were just super scratchy, and I was like, these are not gonna be socks that I'm gonna wanna wear. So instead, I decided to make this into a vest, and then I got Drops Kid Silk mohair to go along with it, which is super like soft, and this is my first time using mohair for anything, but together they just make a very, very fuzzy kind of hairy yarn, and so it does make it a little bit hard to see the stitches. And I was just kind of getting frustrated with it, so I just decided to put it down for a little bit, because at the time I was still making like the folklore cardigans and a couple other things, and so I was like, I'm just gonna put this down until I'm ready to try and tackle it again. It is soft though. I feel like the mohair does make a difference. I don't know, what I'm feeling here is definitely a lot softer than just this scratchy sock. So I think it'll take a minute for me to kind of get the hang of the cable pattern. I do have like a cable needle, because I know some people have learned how to cable without one, but having not cabled at all ever, I thought this would be very helpful. Yeah, I'm glad. Part of the reason why I wanted to make it a vest as well is because I just figured this would be way too scratchy to ever wear right on my skin, but with a vest I'll always be able to wear it over something, and so it'll never directly touch my skin, and so in that sense then it won't bother me as much or at all. So eventually I will pick this back up, but for now this is all I have. I refuse to take it out because if I do, I don't know if I'll start again. I already had to undo it and redo it several times to finally get to where I am now, which for so little just feels kind of sad. But I think once I get more of it done, you'll really be able to see the cables, but you can see them here a little bit, so I think once there's more, hopefully it'll start to show up even better. But this is another pattern by the Creabea, and I really liked the stick season pattern, so I figured that doing another pattern by her would be a good idea. And yeah, eventually it will be done, but I am not trying to have it done anytime soon or putting any kind of timeline on it. It'll just be something that I pick up when I feel like it, and maybe I'll end up doing a different cabled project with an easier yarn that's, you know, just easier to pick up stitches, and then when I feel a little bit better about cables in general, I'll be able to come back to this with a little more confidence. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it in theory, so I think it'll be a good project eventually. And then another kind of long-standing thing that I'm not really putting any specific timeline on is a temperature blanket. So these are the only things I have done. It's just acrylic yarn, but I was watching someone talk about, I think it was Tony from Teal Yarncraft. I was watching her temperature blanket videos because she's done quite a few, and she was giving suggestions on how to kind of plan out your temperature blanket, and I believe she suggested like picking a time frame that doesn't have to be just January 1st till the end of the year. And I thought, oh, how cool would it be if I made a temperature blanket that followed our first year of marriage along with where we were at each time. So like I went from like our wedding to our honeymoon to like any time that we went back to Ontario to visit family or when we went on a trip somewhere. I went with the temperature of the place that we were at on that date. And so I would love to have it done for our 2-year anniversary in May, but I think realistically with school and other things that I want to make, it's just not going to happen by then, and that's totally okay. Maybe it'll be done for like Christmas. I would like to have it done by the end of 2025 because I don't want this to become like a multi-year project, but yeah, so far I have 3, so clearly a lot to go, but I think I need to just, first of all, find the pattern that I used to make the first 3 and do enough to like kind of get it memorized, and then just make a few a week. And I haven't decided yet if I want to just join them like color to color directly, or I think I might have just like a white border around, just like a single row. These are crochet. This is the only thing I'm actually crocheting at the moment. Everything else is knit, but I just find blankets go so much faster with crochet. So I don't know that I'll ever knit a blanket. But I don't know, I think each kind of craft has its merits for me and things that I prefer to do. Like I prefer knit garments, but any kind of other project I think I prefer to crochet, just because like bigger things just go so much faster if they're crochet. And same thing, for some reason I just prefer acrylic yarn with crochet and like natural fibers with knitting, at least based on the projects that I've done up until now. But yeah, I think this will be a super cozy blanket. The palette I have is like, I've got the pink and yellow, but then it's a lot of greens and blues. So I've actually done a little like Excel spreadsheet that tracked all of these, and I put it together so that I can like check off each square as I do it, so I can see what the blanket's going to look like, which is a good motivator, I think. I could see the end product, make sure I liked it, and then was able to go and buy the quantity of yarn in each color that I needed. So I shouldn't have too much left over in each color, but I think I have about 10 colors altogether. So yeah, at some point this year this will be done, but I probably won't start really working on it super intense until the summer. Yeah, that's the last thing I have that I'm really currently working on, and then I have 2 more things that are just the yarn for projects that I'm going to be starting very soon. So the first thing that I have yarn for here that I haven't started yet is the yarn for my mom's stick season sweater. So this is the exact same yarn I used for my own, but just in a different color. And I think this color is just gorgeous. It's showing up a little darker on my screen than what it is in person. It's quite like a bright blue, but you can kind of see there's just like little hints of like more purpley spots and more green spots, but it's a really gorgeous blue, and I think it'll look really nice on my mom. So I'm really excited to get started with this. I specifically chose to use the exact same yarn so that I knew the needle size would work exactly the same way, it would block the same way. I just felt like that was a safe bet instead of then adjusting to use the right yarn weight. I was just going to use my adjusted version because then I knew how the measurements would go. But yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful color, and that's, I find, something that helps me to want to work on things is when looking at it is just like enjoyable because the color that you're working with is so pretty. So I'm not sure exactly when we're going back to Ontario. It'll be sometime in the summer, but whenever we have that trip planned, my goal is to have the sweater done by then so that I can give it to her whenever our trip is, and then she can have it for this fall when her birthday is. And so it'll probably be like a very early birthday present, but I'm going to be casting that on soon. I'm waiting on a couple more cables to come for my interchangeable needles, because I have lots of very short cables that came with the set of needles that I have, but I just need a couple longer ones so I can have more than like one or two bigger projects going at a time. And so once those cables show up, I'll be able to cast this on. And then last but not least, I have my very first Knitting for Olive set of yarn. I ordered this directly from their website. This was kind of like a Christmas gift. They had their like Advent sale all throughout December. It was like every Sunday of December before Christmas they had a different kind of sale, and the last Sunday everything was discounted. I can't remember if it was like 10 or 15% off. And I also, it was my first ever order from them, and they had like free international shipping for your first order. So I got free shipping on it. So it was just overall a really exciting and well-timed purchase. But the shades that I have, this is Dusty Artichoke, which I've heard a lot about, and they were sold out of the mohair version of it, so I got Dusty Sea Green. And I think it'll look really nice together. It's the same, I don't know, I feel like it fits right into the same kind of group. This is just a little darker. But what I'm going to use it for is from their book of patterns. I'm going to be making Olive's vest. And I just thought for the first pattern that I'm making out of their book, it would be really nice to use their yarn for it. Because I've just heard so much about them since I started knitting. Like all the people that I watch on YouTube and all of the accounts on Instagram that I follow. I just feel like everyone has talked about it at some point, or you know, has something to say about it. And I've heard a lot of really positive things, so I wanted to try it out for myself. But I chose to go with this color. First of all, because I just really like it, but I thought it would be good for a vest because I feel like it'll go well over white or black. It'll look good with like blue jeans or black or whatever other color pant that I decide to wear. So I just felt like this would be the most versatile because I'm already making the lauder in gray, which is, you know, usually what I'd go for something that is going to be pretty matchy to whatever you want to put it with. So I thought this would be a good choice. And same thing with this as with the other Stick Season sweater. I'll be casting it on pretty soon as I get the cables that I'm waiting for. But yeah, I'm super excited to make this vest. I don't really know when I'll be done it, but I think I might even be able to wear it in the summer. I don't think it'll be too heavy. So we'll see how warm it really ends up being over like a t-shirt, but I think it's kind of a good year-round color. So yeah, I'm really excited to try it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about all of the projects that I've finished or I'm working on or about to work on. It was really nice to go through everything and kind of see that I did a little more than I thought. I really felt like last year was all just folklore cardigans, so it's nice that I've got a little more variety to work on now. But yeah, if there's any details that I missed that you'd like to know about a pattern or any of the yarn that I used, I'd be happy to share it. A lot of the patterns that I used in this are free. Lots of them have YouTube tutorials or are just very easy to access online for free, which is great. So yeah, if there's any patterns or yarn info that you'd like to know, let me know. And I'm hoping very soon to do a project update on some of these things. Hopefully I'll have those last 2 projects cast on, so there's lots to share. Hopefully I have that sleeve on my sweater done, or in progress at least. I would like to pick it up and start working on it very soon so I can kind of get over that hurdle. But yeah, don't forget to like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.